Did y'all see the debate? I didn't get to see all of it, but I read the transcript. I'm going to tell you right now, things aren't going to get better after the next election. Because the way I see it, for the last several elections, if the people want to restore the Constitution, actually make a difference, shrink the size of the federal government, there's only one candidate. There's only one. What are you going to vote for? More of the same Romney? I mean, and then you've got Rick Perry. Rick sidestepped the Constitution. Perry, he's ultra-conservative. He'll do, the right thing no matter what the Constitution says. So, if you're American and you want your liberties and all like that protected, and you want actual change, there's only one choice, and it's Ron Paul. If you really want change, it's Ron Paul. Now, don't get me wrong, he's been a politician, so the biggest thing I'd worry about is the handlers. When a president gets to Washington, they put him in that bubble, and the advisors, keep hammering at him. Oh, you can't do that, you can't do this. Ron Paul has stuck by his message throughout his whole career, So I think that he can handle the handlers in Washington better than any of the other candidates. Michele Bachmann, she may sound tough, but when she got into office, all those handlers would handle her and move her toward the bureaucracy. The bureaucracy would wind up telling her what to do. Ron Paul's the only one boneheaded enough that would actually change. Now people say, well, Ron Paul wants to legalize drugs. Wait a minute. Ron Paul wants to get the federal government out of law enforcement, which the federal government should have never been into law enforcement. That's up to you and your state representatives, American people. That's up to you. If you don't want drugs, you tell your state representative, and your state people make the laws. Your local sheriff makes the laws. You vote the sheriff in that you want. Your decision, America. President ain't got nothing to do with that. All the president's supposed to do is defend your rights, to make sure the states do not, overstep the Constitution. That first 10, is your Bill of Rights. That's what the president's supposed to do, is make sure the states don't overstep that. And yes, that includes the Second Amendment. So if Ron Paul's in, I imagine New York and Illinois and California is going to get censured on that one. I mean, they're going to have to go by the rules. And I'm going to get off of Ron Paul. Y'all know that he's the only choice. I mean, you can talk bad about him, say this, say that, but think about it. He's only talking about the federal government. The federal government doesn't need to be in education. The federal government doesn't need to be in law enforcement. All they should have is maybe some interstate infrastructure, and that's about it. Defense. I'd say in defense, if the American people wanted to take a little bit of responsibility for their own defense, we could teach the children in high school how to use 4 weapon systems that would make the United States impervious to attack. If every person in America at least knew how to use 4 of these separate. One would be the Javelin anti-tank missile. Can take out any armor. Right? I'm not saying that everybody keeps an anti-tank thing at the house. Okay? But each town would have an armory that would have a few of them in it. Right? The Stinger anti-aircraft missile. Every armory should have a couple of those in it. And then every man, woman, and child needs to learn how to shoot a pistol and a rifle. If everybody in this country knew how to do that, there is no way that China, with all their billions of people, they could not float enough of them over here. They couldn't amass an air force big enough that every town they flew over would shoot a Stinger missile to blow their helicopter out of the sky that would blow up a tank. So, hey, if the American people would just learn how to use those 4 weapon systems, the United States itself would be impervious from attack. Our Army could be put into a mothball type thing. You shrink wrap the M1 tanks, and we shrink our Army, just the Army, not Air Force, Navy, Marines, just the Army, to a bunch of drill instructors, and all they are is trainers. They upkeep and train. So if there is somebody attacks us, they can instantly, recruit or draft a bunch and then become big pretty quick. Our Navy, we're surrounded basically by water, so as long as we have a good, strong Navy and Marine Corps, China's not going to make it over here to land anyway. So, there we are. Of course, Ron Paul's pretty much along those lines. Do we need to be messing around overseas? No. Let me give you an example. Now, first off, let me say, I am unelectable. Every man, woman, and child could write my name in, and they would not let me be president. I mean, they would assassinate me before they allowed somebody like me to be president, okay? But anyway, this is just simple of what I would do as a foreign policy. I wrote it down so I make sure I don't forget something here. If we go to something like Iraq and we have to kick their butts, we kick their butts. We destroy their army, we hang Hussein, and then we leave. If the people of Iraq want us to stay, they have to vote for us to stay. And by voting for us to stay, the whole country becomes a territory of the United States. Thus, they have to abide by the same Constitution and Bill of Rights. There won't be no Muslims and all this kicking Christians out, and they won't be kicking nobody out. They would have to go by the exact same Constitution as us. Otherwise, we go, adios, we're not helping, we kicked your butt, we're leaving. Same with Afghanistan. If they want us to stay, they got to vote to become a territory, and they have to abide by the Constitution. Otherwise, we're gone. They don't want us there. Fine, we'll blow them back up into the Stone Age, and then we'll leave. We're not going to be police. Period. No police. And as far as the most favored trade status that the United States gives people, no. Unless whatever country that we give favored trade status has to have the same Bill of Rights. That first Bill of Rights, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom to keep and bear arms, everything, Fifth Amendment, all that stuff, those first 10, well, maybe not the 10th if they don't have, depends on what form of government they have. But, the basic Bill of Rights, if they don't have that, if that country doesn't have the same thing for their people, they don't get favored trade status, okay? Let me go ahead, my tax plan to really bring in jobs. First off, for a single person, $24,000 a year. That's about $500 a week on a 40-hour week. No tax. None. Zero. Zilch. Nothing. And then for each additional person, like if it's married, if there's a married person, it'd be $34,000. No tax. And a child would be $44,000, and a second child $54,000, just like that. Now, don't get saying, "Ooh, that sounds good," because there's a catch. We're going to keep funding. Of course, Department of Education, all that would be gone. DEA, Department of Education, that'd be gone. But that would save money. Military would save money there. But I would shift the tax base. We're all still going to be paying some tax, but you won't see it because it'll be in the price of goods. I'd put an import tax immediately on everything. import, including companies, American companies that manufacture overseas and then ship it back over here. No, you got to pay the tariffs. You know, I'm shifting the taxes from the people to the stuff that's coming in, okay? So all that China March stuff, if it's under $100 price tag, it's a 10% tax. And then say at anything over that, between $100 and say $1,000, to be 7.5% tax. And then, like I say, any items over $1,000 goes to a 5% tax. Or we could just do flat 5. Nah, there's too many cheap items. In that one failed swoop, I just made it a lot more profitable to manufacture here in the United States. Guess what? Jobs are back. In other words, it costs less to manufacture for the American people here in America. Thus, the jobs are back. Simple. But the corporations don't like it. No. So, anyhow, that's simple. But, like I say, Fox News, they said this thing, well, Ron Paul was doing good till he mentioned that he was going to let the Iranians have nukes. He never said that. There was another person that said that. They said, oh, Ron Paul's going to let them have nukes. Well, no, Ron Paul didn't say that. Ron Paul's saying it's none of our business. If Iran does something, we blow them off the face of the earth. And we don't police them. We don't help fix them. You know, so there I am. I call BS on that on the debate, and like I said, Ron Paul, he probably won't get elected because the American people ain't got enough guts to do the right thing. It won't happen. So in 2012, prepare for more of the same. America goes down the tube.